All right. Well, first of all, give Wofford credit. Thought they made a tremendous run there late in the game when it appeared that we had control of the game up 13 and they went on a 17-0 run that ended up being the deciding factor of the game. Thought our group showed a good response to going the quick little forward run right there and at least to tie it. But give them credit, they hit the three. There was a huge play right there, and then we're able to finish the game there late on the free throw line. So, I thought there was a lot of good that we did for the first 30 minutes of the game, in particularly. But I thought once we really started to struggle to guard, especially on the perimeter, a lot of their drives, they got to the rim way too easy. And then we got way too stagnant offensively, just didn't get enough movement. 11 assists for us is just way too low. And coincidentally, we go 27% from three and 43% from the floor. But I thought we have seen our ball movement kind of drop a little bit here lately. And I thought tonight our shot selection was probably one of the worst it's been all year. And you somehow still scratched to 70, but we're leaving a lot on the table. And we can come up with a bunch of different reasons. We got a ton of guys out, and two more went out tonight. They couldn't finish the game, and my heart breaks for those guys. But when you're on your home court, I think our whole program feels like we wish we had been able to get that out. And feel bad for our guys. Injuries are part of the game. I've never quite seen anything like this in my career, but it's just what we have right now. We had one sub over there at the end of the game. It was Owen Ricker, and to put him in, we had to go double big, and we hadn't practiced that at all. And so, we made the decision to just stay as it was. And we got three freshmen out there, and they're gassed, they're exhausted. We got one that has blood on his mouth, and he had to come out. He couldn't go back in. And, it's hard because it's hard to lose when you feel like you had an opportunity to win. But at the same time, heart breaks for our team a little bit because they just keep showing up, they keep battling. They've had every reason in the world in the last month to just make every excuse imaginable, because it's not just it's real guys over there. And I'm hoping that there's going to be purpose inside this pain as we start to get guys back, that the depth that we're creating and the experience that some of these young players have gotten will help us down the stretch, because at this level, it's really all that matters is what happens down the stretch. And all these games are, playing for seeding and then trying to figure out what the best version of your team looks like. But it's one of those things we're going to have to sort this thing out. And, I'm hoping that we're going to start to get some players back eventually. But, heart obviously really hurts for Mason. Mason's just, like what he's done and how hard he's competed and worked mentally to stay engaged when he wasn't playing at all. And then to see how well he's been playing and to see how well he was impacting that game tonight, to see him go down the way he went down, it's just a crusher, man. It's a crusher. And got a lot of respect for that guy. Got a lot of respect for him. He's going to go do big things in his life because of the way that his resolve and his resiliency, and to see that, it just puts a little knot in your stomach. But there's going to be purpose in that as well. But he came in. We didn't get off to the best start, and I thought he came in there and changed the game. The way he was rebounding the ball, the way he was shooting the ball, hit the three, to make it 11-8 right there versus the zone, and the way they were playing us, to have him available would have allowed us to space their defense out a little bit more with him sitting Vandy's man in the paint. But that's not what was in the cards tonight. And so we'll learn from this. We'll watch it. We'll be dead honest with ourselves in terms of what happened in that 17-0 run, and then we'll get off the mat and we've got to quickly turn the page and get to the next game.
Coach, during that run, while Wofford was they had 8 of 10, and I think 6 of those 8 were layups. I think on the flip side, I think I missed like 9 straight, and they were all threes. Was it a situation where you got some good looks by some good shooters, and they're tired, and they just didn't fall? You had a couple, I think, go in and out. Or were you settling, or is it a little bit combination of both?
I think anytime you look at it, for us, 11 assists is an extremely low number. And I don't know, Scott. Fatigue's definitely a factor. We're playing guys 37, 35 minutes for us. Anything over 32 historically is not good. It doesn't matter if you're Mike Bothell or Jalen Slauson, the way we like to play. you want to keep those minutes down. But you know, it's one of those things where I do feel like our ball movement it just was a little bit stuck, and I've got to watch it on film to see what that shot quality was. But I feel like some of these shots are just not good shots. You know, it's just not. We're not trusting movement, and we're not getting the ball moving quick enough. Our pass count has gone down probably in the last 4 or 5 games, and we like to get that thing moving and get it side to side and trust that it's going to come back to you. And when you take tough ones, they're going to run on those, and they're going to get stuff in transition, and that's the easiest way they can get back in the margin. So, you know, they beat us up in the paint pretty good. The paint margin the second half had to be super high because it ended up being they had 44 points in the paint, we only got 26. And so that discrepancy wasn't that wide at halftime. And so they really did a good job there in the second half, and we obviously did a poor job. So, you know, 27% from 3 for us. Second game in a row to hit 8. That's just kind of what it is right now, you know, and that means we need to drive the ball more. We need to play off of 2 feet. I thought Baba Franklin did a great job of that, specifically in the first half. But we got to get more guys getting to the rim and figuring out ways to generate those baskets around the paint. And regardless of how they're scheming or how they're playing, like it's our job to be able to solve it. And we like to take threes. It's something that I've always liked, but we won't get threes. And I think tonight what we're going to see on film is too many dribble threes. I think too many just dribble threes. And you know, with Alex, it's a tough. You want to give him freedom because that's when he makes plays and that's when he's at his best. But anytime you have freedom, there's a responsibility that comes with that freedom, and you got to take the good ones. And you know, we'll have to watch him on film. We'll have to watch it. He's not a 1 for 10 3-point shooter. I keep telling him that. He's a 40% 3-point shooter, but his selection has to be better. His footwork has to be better, and that's something that we're trying to work on, and it's something that we've got to see quicker progress on. But right now, you know, for him to go 1 for 10 from 3 probably means, my guess is, out of those 10, 6 or 7 off the dribble would be my guess. I'm not totally for sure on that, but that's just going off the game. And you know, so we got our challenges right now, but at the end of the day, we got to figure it out. So we're gonna watch this and look at it and get back to work quickly and figure out how we can run some better offense. We scored 70 tonight on 43%, which is kind of bizarre. Made free throws tonight, 12 for 15. We turned it over 12 times, which is lower than this team's been doing, but they were loud. I mean, it's 18 points off those 12 turnovers in a game that's close. I mean, I felt like we just gave them some easy layups at different times.
You know, there were some positives obviously tonight. Can you talk about just maybe the moments that some of your younger players were in and how they're starting to handle it a little bit better as the season goes along? Can you just talk about the positive?
Well, I thought that's the best Owens played all year. And like I said, that's probably one of the big regrets we'll have in the game is not playing double big a little bit more and putting him in there with Charlie. We just have not repped that a lot. So we'll have to spend some time repping that this week, obviously. I think that Baba, that's probably his most complete game. He's a +5 in 21 minutes, has 14 points and has 6 rebounds. His effort's been tremendous. It's one of the things I really respect about him. He plays tremendously hard. He's an ultimate competitor. I think when you look at it, the 4 turnovers are going to be hard. You know, I think Lex and Baba had 8 of the 12, and so that's 8 of the 12 right there with 2 freshmen. And you know, I think Colton had 0 turnovers, but you know, it's a lot we're asking those guys to do, and there's not a lot of guys that are having to do that much as freshmen. And it's one of those situations where we threw 1 out of bounds, we threw a couple out of bounds. It's just a no-play turnover. And so we got to continue to find ways to help them. But these guys are showing up. I mean, they're working hard. They're watching their film. They're coming to practice. They're competing in practice. It's a good group. It's just one of those things where, again, you know, I wish we could have been a little bit more well rested, but it just wasn't. It wasn't the case. It's just where we are right now. So if we're gonna have to slow it down, if we're gonna have to play a little bit more zone, we're gonna have to figure something out to allow us to play with as few bodies. It's not something I've really done my whole entire career. So, you know, it's just one of those curveballs we're gonna have to figure out how to hit. But in terms of their effort and how they're continuing to compete, how they're continuing to learn, that's where I'll fight with this team any day. I I mean, they're gonna continue to show up. They're gonna take tomorrow off, and they're gonna show up on Monday, and they're gonna try to find a way to get better. So I can assure you this: there's not gonna be any excuses being made out of this group. There's not gonna be anybody asking for any pity out of this group. It's just all gonna be like, here's what the situation is, and how do we go improve from it, and how do we make this better? And then ultimately, we know we're playing for our best to be at the end of the season. And we got a couple guys that are really good players over there that we feel like we're gonna get back at some point, and then we're gonna add into it the experience that these players have gotten. And I think what we're gonna see in the end is a pretty dang good team. But right now, we gotta keep working through this, and let's not act like we haven't been in all these games. You know, like let's be clear, right? Like there's losing, and there's you know, battling and seeing guys both teams were playing extremely hard. Neither team had any quitting tonight, which is what you would expect. But you know, in the two losses, just like I just told the team, the wins have been hard, the losses have been hard, right? Like these games are going to be close. We have a very small margin right now, and tonight the margin got even a little bit smaller. And so we've got to understand, like when you're playing with smaller margins, you can't go take bad shots, right? You can't have bad turnovers. You can't let them straight line drive you and lay the ball up. You just can't let it happen. And you know, we've got to own the responsibility of that, and we got to learn how to play through that. And I trust that this team's going to look this in the face, and they're going to get better from it.
With the ridiculous amount of injuries that you have, a lot of these younger guys are bearing this weight probably a lot heavier than they normally would. What are you telling them in the locker room, and what are you hearing out of guys like Ben and Chuck in these moments?
Well, we're just trying to tell them that it's their time. It's just an opportunity that maybe they wouldn't have gotten without some of these injuries. And we're gonna choose to put belief in them. You know, we're gonna choose to try to put them in a position to go out there and be successful. And like I said, we don't want to insult those guys in terms of saying that, hey, we can't win with these guys. We can win with them. We need to have a few more, right? Especially with how we play. I wish we, you know, to have. At least we had 8 these past couple games, right? That like, here's the 8 that we can go play with. And, you know, they've been great. They've been phenomenal. They battled through it, and we made a million mistakes, and games have been up and down, and we fought back, and we just keep getting better. Tonight, you get that thing down to 6, it gets a little tougher. And so, you know, we're gonna choose faith over fear. We're gonna choose to put faith into our group and belief into our players. We're not going to be afraid of, hey, you know, can this guy do this? Like those guys are good. You know, they're just freshmen, and so they've never been in these moments. They've never been in these situations. They were playing high school ball last year, and now all of a sudden they're in Division I high level basketball games, and so their growth is going to be expedited. I think of some of our great players around here. I mean, Jalen Slauson scored 19 points his whole freshman year. I mean, think about the growth that he had. Right, that the growth of even a Mike Bothwell that was kind of up and down. I mess with those guys all the time. Like when we beat Loyola and we beat Villanova, like I mean, we couldn't even have them in the game, you know. And so now we're out here having to play 4 of them in our top 8, and so I think it's going to be. I think you can see their talent. I think you can see how good they're going to be, but you can also see it's all new. And I mean, Baba's out there cramping. I mean, I'm looking out there. I mean, everybody's in, it's like the tunnel back there. I mean, we might as well have chairs back in the tunnel. Where's Baba? He's back there cramping. But he's never played 21 minutes in a Division I basketball game before. And so it's a look. We're gonna have to ride this line a little bit of we always want to be accountable. We always want to play to a standard. I think it's going to be clear in those last 9 minutes, whatever it was, that we didn't quite play to the standard of what we want to play around here. But then also making sure that we get our guys back up, and that we inspire them with belief, and making sure that we know that, hey, we're gonna keep pressing ahead, and we're not gonna run away from the storm. We're gonna run right through it, and that's the fastest way to get through it, is to go and we just gotta keep pressing forward. And you know, we don't want to be a program of passivity. We don't want to be a program of excuses. But this is unique. I mean, it's just unique. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, not for this duration. And so, you know, it's, I wish we could have found a way. I wish we could have found a way for our fans. I wish we could have found a way for our players. I wish we could have found a way for Mason. I wish we could have found a way for, you know, just that's kind of what we've been, just kind of found a way Furman. And unfortunately, it was just a little bit too much to overcome for us tonight.
Excuse me, Coach. What are some areas that you've seen Baba make some growth and positive strides in from the moment he set foot on campus?
Ooh. we'd be in here for a long time if I had to answer that. You know, I'll say this about he's a great human, and he's just a great person, and he's a joy to be around. Every day he's gonna come with a smile, and he's gonna try to figure it out. I think this was so new to him. And not to say one way is better than the other, but it's just, there's like a little bit of system shock in terms of how we play and what he was used to doing and what he has to come in here and do. The information's a lot, to be able to retain a lot of the information, but just the daily grind of it. You know, this is Division I basketball. This is different. I mean, this is hard work, and you know, understanding all the other stuff. It's not just showing up to play and practice. And now we got to take care of our body. We got to eat a certain way. We got to rest. We got to get our shots up. We got to get our free throws in. We got to watch film. We got to go to practice. We got to. I mean, it becomes like, how much do you love it? And what we've seen is, with him, just, it's still, you know, some areas work in progress, just like you would expect with all freshmen. But his habits are starting to improve in some areas. We're still pressing him on a couple that we feel like he can make some jumps in. But for him to go out there tonight and score 14 points and get 6 rebounds and play as hard as he did, that's what I've been most proud of for him. Is, you know, I don't think, you know, when he comes off his high school season last year, it's how many points he scored. Now it's how hard do you play, how do you defend, how do you rebound, and then we're just going to kind of let the scoring take care of itself. And once he continues to refine, and once he continues to fundamentally get a better base, and then has great information in terms of retaining how we play and what we do, you're going to see a big jump in his game this offseason, would be my guess, if he really sells out and commits to it. And he's going to be a really exciting player to watch around here in the future. He's playing more than he needs to right now, you know, like that's just the facts for where he's at. But his effort is what's allowing him to still impact the game out there. And that's what I'm most pleased with, is if we're gonna make mistakes, let's make them a great effort, and then we can learn from those mistakes on film. And he's made a lot of strides. I mean, there's been very few that I've seen that have made, you know, in terms of like just seeing all this when he got here and be like, whoa, this is a lot, you know, and then now starting a little bit find his way. And I think that over time, as he settles into that, I think you're gonna see another big jump from him.
Coach, we saw in the pregame shoot-around, Tom House and Colin Neal out there, but I know there's a difference between shooting around and being game ready. And as the injuries mount, how hard is it to be patient to make sure, you know, player safety is number one? And like, could we read into that they are getting closer, those two specifically?
I mean, I'll leave all that to our medical staff. You know, I mean, the only thing I'll ask is, who can practice tomorrow? Who's going to be ready to play? And I go with what these guys tell me, and I know that I think that a lot of them are trending in the right direction. You know, I think even some of them are a little bit ahead of schedule from what we anticipated early. Some of them are right on schedule. I think Tom's pretty close. I would expect Tom to practice this week and be available on Wednesday. I think that maybe one more, maybe, I don't know. You know, it's kind of one of these day-to-day, and every day is a different evaluation. Every day is we're trying to progress and do a little bit more, and, you know, all these checkoffs that they have to go through. But we're not going to put a player out there until he's fully ready to be able to go compete, and that health and safety is the number one focus of our program. And now with technology today, like, you can see, you know, is the strength there, not just in the part that was injured, but everything else around it. Do we have, you know, are we symmetrical, are we balanced, you know, are the jumps where they need to be, is the force that they're putting in there? Like, I mean, we've got all this data, and so that way we can be really confident that they're ready when they need to be. And, you know, look, you gotta stay in the fight. You gotta stay in the fight, and you gotta get full strength by Asheville, and that's what we're gonna do, and that's what we're gonna focus on. And hopefully, as we get through these next couple of weeks, we'll start to get some of these guys back into the fold. And until then, we just got to stay together. We got to keep getting better, and we got to learn as much about ourselves through this. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, you learn a lot more about yourself in losing than winning. And you know, we've got to continue. This team has grown through losing well this year, right? I mean, you go 1-3 start, and then they went off and won whatever, didn't lose in December. And then even through these injuries, I think since the injuries have kind of started, we won 5-7, which, considering all the good teams that we've played and the situations we've been in, I think our team has continued to scrap through it. And that's the attitude we're going to have. That's the mindset we're going to have. And as the trainer tells me that, hey, this guy's ready to play, then we're going to get him back out there. Hopefully, we're going to go to bed every night saying our prayers, and hopefully that's going to be sooner rather than later.
Coach, Mike, you can't help the situation. What's the values for the injured guys, maybe seeing the effort that team put out there tonight?
Yeah, I don't think you can really question effort with our group for the most part. I think that some of those drives they gave up late, it looked like bad effort plays. I think it was some extreme fatigue going there towards the end. But I think it's hard to question this group's effort. I think that understanding in basketball, in situational understanding, ball security, shot selection, like minimizing just bad breakdowns. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely dealing with some of that, but it's thin margins. These games are close. I mean, you go look at every single one of them we played in, except one, right? The Mercer game could have gone either way. The Western Carolina game could have gone either way. The Chattanooga game of runs. We had a decent lead in the second half, but then they were up in the first half, and kind of Sanford, same thing, right? Like back and forth, we held on, got the win. Today, game of runs, had the lead for 29 minutes of the game, but lost the game. And so, it's one of those things where I don't question this group's effort. I think this group's going to compete. I think that's the only way we've been able to win more than we've lost in this stretch without these players, because I think this group has played extremely hard. As Dean Smith said it best, right? Play hard, play smart, play together. I think this team has played hard. I think we've played together. I think from a basketball intelligence standpoint, from knowing situational basketball, knowing what shot to get, knowing what pass to make, knowing how to take care of the ball, knowing where my reads are. Those are the areas that with a young group that just haven't gotten the reps, we've got to get better at. And so, we've got film, we've got to be smart with our legs. We're not able to do a whole lot right now. It's just the situation we're in. So we've got to learn different ways, and we've got to make sure that we continue to just be able to diagnose situations better and be able, like tonight, you could absorb a 10-0 run, you could absorb a 9-0 run, you could absorb a 13-0 run, maybe 17-0 run. Like that's hard to absorb now. I mean, that's what we did at Chattanooga. In between two halves, those are hard. And you got the droughts of not being able to score, not being able to get stops, and all of a sudden, that's the game. I mean, Tennessee's up 17 on Kentucky at home today, and they lose, right? Like, that's just college basketball right now. Like, the three, the pace, the tempo, the players, though these are safe, and so you got to just win possessions. And I think young players, they don't always quite understand that you got to win this possession on offense. How do you win this possession? You get the shot, we need one. And then you got to win this possession on defense. We make them take the shot we want them to take, and we rebound the ball. And then you do that, and you put the game in kind of micro pieces where you're not trying to just see what the score is. You're trying to figure out, are we winning the possessions? And I think that comes with maturity, that comes with time, that comes with understanding the game and getting those reps, which hopefully, these guys will grow in as they're able to continue to learn from film and learn from experience. All right, thank you.